The chair now lays out House Bill 1972 and recognizes its author, Representative Campos, to explain the bill.
Good afternoon, Chairwoman Thompson and Vice Chair Hull and members. Hope you all are doing great this evening. Thank you for the opportunity to lay out House Bill 1972 regarding children placed by DFPS and residential treatment centers. House Bill 1972 is based on statute recommendations in the 2022 Children's Commission report to the Texas legislature. In effect, this bill seeks proactive monitoring of a child's placement in a residential treatment with the goal of expediting the children's return to a strong family setting. Residential treatment centers provide therapeutic residential care for minors and address mental illness, substance abuse, or behavioral health problems. These children will live in a RTC for a short period of time as they work to meet their treatment goals. Typically, other outpatient services did not provide the necessary help for these children, and they were unable to be supported at home or in a community due to mental health needs. The RTCs are very important for children who require intensive mental treatments. The problem is that children are often left for too long in these facilities, creating long-term problems for children, like being unable to find a permanent home. A quick return to a family environment is also recommended due to concerns of abuse in RTC settings. While only 5% of foster children are placed in RTCs, more than 1/3 of reported abuse and exploitation happens in these settings. House Bill 1972 provides court oversight requiring a judge to proactively monitor the child's progress in their RTC placement so that they can return quickly and successfully to a family setting. After 60 days of placement in an RTC, a judge will review the child's well-being and confirm the RTC meets the child's needs and goals. This bill will also provide a statute definition for residential treatment center in Section 263 of the Texas Family Code so that everyone involved in CPS cases are using common terminology. I'm open for questions and respectfully reserve the right to close.
Members, are there any questions? Thank you. Kate Murphy, Jaime Bernstein, Rob Hoffman. Jamie. Kate Murphy, we show you as representing Texans Care for Children, and you are for the bill.
Yes, ma'am.
You have 3 minutes.
Yes, thank you. I'm Kate Murphy. I'm the Director of Child Protection Policy for Texans Care for Children. We support HB 1972. Every child deserves to grow up in a loving family. Right now in Texas, we have about 1,200 children who are in residential treatment centers. And unfortunately, right now, this is a place where kids tend to languish. And as you heard from Rep. Campos, they experience worse outcomes. They're more likely to age out of care. They are less likely to find a permanent home. They're less likely to graduate high school. So we really want to do a better job of wrapping around these kids who have higher needs, who have complex mental health needs, who are in residential treatment centers, and make sure that we're doing extra work and taking extra care to make sure that they're okay, that they're safe, given the higher risk of abuse that she also highlighted. The goal with this bill, and I really want to emphasize this, is not to add a lot of new work to what caseworkers are already doing. It is to make sure that that work is known and made available in court hearings where we're already talking about a child who may be placed in a residential treatment center. So you'll see going through the bill that there's language in there with new findings for court hearings, and this is really, really focused on making sure that we're just presenting information that DFPS should already have and is already collecting to the court so they can make informed decisions and have really intentional conversations around how to protect the most vulnerable kids on their dockets and the kids that we should be using extra care for. So that's
Members, are there any
happy to
questions?
answer questions, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, Jamie Bernstein?
Hello. Thank you, Chair Thompson and committee members. My name is Jamie Bernstein. I'm the Executive Director of the Supreme Court of Texas Children's Commission, and I'm here as a resource on House Bill 1972. For those of you who aren't familiar, the Children's Commission administers a federal court improvement program grant, and our mission is to strengthen the courts and thereby improve safety, permanency, and well-being outcomes for children. During the 87th legislative session, Senate Bill 1575 added requirements related to the Qualified Residential Treatment Program, or QRTP, court review. It also charged the Children's Commission to create a work group to consider the appropriate use of and transition into and out of residential treatment center, or RTC, placements, including, I'll say in relevant part, statutorily required judicial review of RTC placements, the fiscal implications of additional judicial review for RTC placements, and proposed statutory changes regarding these appropriate judicial findings. The proposed changes in House Bill 1972 reflect the recommendations made by the work group, so I want to share just a little bit about the process that we had to develop these recommendations. The Senate Bill 1575 work group was chaired by Judge Rob Hoffman, who's here with us today to serve as a resource as well. The work group included subject matter experts from all around the state that represented DFPS, the Texas Juvenile Justice Department, HHSC, single source continuum contractors, and service providers, as well as judges, attorneys, and advocates. There were two subgroups. The legal subgroup developed the recommendations before you today related to the court review of RTC placements. That group had a similar composition to the Senate Bill 1575 work group, but also included the Ombudsman's office, which we thought was an important perspective. We also consulted individuals with lived experience throughout the process, which spanned from September 2021 to July of 2022. And I want to state very clearly that our approach through this legal work group was to leverage existing court hearings, court requirements, and documents that are already available to the court so that courts can be informed about whether the RTC is the right fit for the right child for the right amount of time. I defer to Judge Hoffman to explain the recommended changes, but I'm also available for questions.
And you're testifying neutral on the bill?
That's correct. Thank you.
Okay. Judge Rob Hoffman, you're representing the Texas Children's Commission, and you are neutral on the bill.
Yes, ma'am.
You may proceed.
All right. Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Rob Hoffman. I'm the District Judge of the 452nd Judicial District Court of Texas, and also the Senior Jurist in Residence for the Texas Children's Commission. I have the pleasure of serving currently as the Treasurer for the Board of Directors of the National Council of Juvenile and Family Court Judges. And as Jamie testified earlier, I was the chair of this SB 1575 work group from last session. The recommendations of this bill are recommendations directly related to the work group. The issues presented in the bill, as already has been testified to, simply set parameters for enhanced court review of children who are placed in residential treatment centers, and also a subset of those centers called Qualified Residential Treatment Programs. It instructs judges on what determinations they make about these placements in RTCs, and also what information that they have that they base those recommendations upon. The recommendations enjoy a very broad consensus from the folks that Jamie mentioned were present in the work group, and they also provide great judicial oversight so we can improve the safety, permanency, and well-being of children in foster care, and also provide accountability and transparency of the agency. Several current courts across the state of Texas already review RTC placements more strictly, and some even have additional hearings upon which they base that information and make those findings. They report anecdotally to us that those hearings are very important in determining the best interests of children, especially those children who we hope do not languish in residential treatment centers. As has already been testified to, the good news is that this bill does not require additional documentation or reports to be provided to courts by the agency. It's simply using the reports and information that the agency and other folks already have. Additionally, it does not require additional hearings to be held by courts, creating additional costs for the agency. Some courts already have additional hearings and currently have the authority to do that. That authority is not addressed at all in this bill. Simply, these recommendations simplify and put parameters around the process for courts to have greater accountability, leverage existing documentation, and use existing hearings to keep a closer eye on these children placed in these very restrictive placements and make sure that they do not languish there. So, Madam Chair, thank you.
Members, any questions? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else here wishing to testify on, for, or against House Bill 1972? If not, testimony is now, testimony on House Bill 1972 is now closed, and the chair recognizes Representative Campos to close on her bill.
Again, thank you, members. And just to confirm that this bill seeks to make sure that children, get back to a good family environment sooner than later, that they get the help that they need. And I think all of us are trying to do the same thing for all of our Texas children, and that's just to make sure they get the help they need and that we get them, in a good environment, and just do the best that we can, because they are our future. So we need to work hard to keep them safe. Thank you, and I close.
Members, do you have any questions? Representative Campos? Thank you.
Thank you.
Members, the chair moves to leave House Bill 1972 pending. Are there any objections? Chair hears none. The bill will be left pending.